YouTube, LinkedIn. So is it 6:30 now?
Yeah.
It's 6:30. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my book launch, From Suicide Kit to Liberating Liberty. I am the author, Gavin Jones, and this is my new book that I wrote. And I'm excited to share a little about the book and the journey of writing this book. So this evening, I'll be doing a number of things with you guys. I will be asking some questions regarding the reading that I'll be doing from the book. And you will have an opportunity to answer those questions. And you will have an opportunity to win a signed copy of my book. So I have 5 copies to give away. And by answering the questions that I'll be asking after the reading, you will have an opportunity to win a signed copy from a signed copy of my book. I want to talk about one of the reasons for writing this book is to shed light on some struggles that teenagers go through, like youth in general. But this book talks about like one specific struggle in particular. I won't tell you what the struggle is that Liberty goes through, but once you purchase the book, you will get an opportunity to understand, struggles that teenagers goes through and how us as adults can approach those some of those struggles and how to help them navigate the struggles that they go through. The book, it's ready. The ebook is ready. The hard copy is ready. I have a hard copy right here with me right now. It's ready for purchasing. So you can find the book on my website, and it's at the very bottom of my screen. If you're looking at the bottom of my screen on Facebook, for those on Facebook, for those who are on YouTube, my page and my personal profile, you can see the link at the bottom. So my website is www.thelampshadewriter.com. And you can also find it on blurb.com. So for those who are living in the United States or other parts of the world, you can get the book to purchase at a more, I'm not going to say a more reasonable price, but the shipping cost will be less if it's being shipped from Canada for you. So if you're in the States, or if you're in Jamaica, if you're in Europe, wherever you are, you can purchase the book on blurb.com. If you're in Canada, the shipping costs associated with the cost of the book would be much cheaper. So I would encourage you to purchase the book on my website, and that's www.thelampshadewriter.com. And you can also send me an email as well at thelampshadewriter@gmail.com, and I will pretty much give you more information about the book, or if you have a question about the purchasing, I can give you more information there. For the book, I'm really excited to share this book with you who are here with me, and I'm really excited to share the book with the world. I see more people joining on Instagram. How are you doing, guys? People joining on Facebook. Thanks for joining. And so I'm just really thrilled right now being here with all of you and just to talk about the book itself. So without further ado, I am going to read, I decided to read the first chapter of the book, But I'm also going to include the acknowledgement as well, because I just want to acknowledge what really inspired me to really write this book, and just to acknowledge some of the people who have been very influential in me really publishing the book itself, because I wasn't really scared, but I was more so like a bit hesitant in terms of publishing my work so that others could see it. But now that it's done and I have a physical copy in my hands, I'm really, really excited that I did it. So I'm just going to jump right in, and I'm going to read from the acknowledgement, and then I'm going to go straight into the first chapter of the book. The first chapter is not very long. It is a pretty short chapter, but it's also a very powerful chapter. So you have to listen very carefully. And remember that I'll be asking some questions regarding the first chapter. And this will give you an opportunity to win one of the five signed copies that I have for you guys. All right, so I'm going to read the first chapter. Sorry, the acknowledgement. How did this story come about? I went to a youth conference once and met a 13-year-old girl. Her and I formed a bond that was undeniably real. While she was only 13 at the time, her perspective on life, art, and religion were in-depth and raw. I was so intrigued by her mind that we spoke throughout the entire conference. Before we parted, she asked if I wanted to see the type of art she likes to draw. She took my notebook and drew a beautiful picture of the animation character, Mewtwo. I sat on the train one Saturday morning, and while flipping through the pages of my notebook, I saw the illustration the young girl had drawn. I began writing, not knowing where I was going with the story. I remember she said to me while at the conference, "People don't understand me, and I hate explaining myself to them. But with you, I think I can be myself." I whispered to her, "We're kindred spirits." I want to thank her for inspiring this story. I also want to give a special thanks to my friends who encouraged me to finish the story and get it published. I was nervous at the idea of publishing my work, but I'm happy now that I listened to them. Thanks for color coding my grammar mistakes and calling me out on how to be a better writer. I am lucky and blessed to be surrounded by committed, talented people like you. And special thanks to all other contributors. So thank you to the young lady who inspired this story. Thanks to my friends who really encouraged me to do better at writing and color coding my work. I'm gonna step away for 1 second. I'll be right back with you guys. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to get into the very first chapter. And it goes like this. I was sure I got caught. That was the only reason I cried so hard. And chapter 1, One's Destiny. Liberty climbed down from the attic with her shoebox tucked underneath her arm. As she walked into her room, she whispered to herself, "I can't do this anymore. I hate how I feel inside. I want to end it all today. She sighed and held onto her box tightly, but the fear inside her wanted to let go. It was a type of roller coaster fear that sends shivers all over her body. Even though she wanted to let go, she trembled and held on as tightly as possible. She opened the box and shuffled through it. Finding the previous notes she had written, she gently picked one out. It read, I somehow wish I was still 7 or 8. My thoughts were innocent then, and I only wanted to be a little girl. She slowly put the note down and continued to go through the contents of the box. She found a handheld mirror. Liberty inspected the mirror as though she was seeing it for the first time. The mirror was black except for the handle, which was gold. On the back, she had written, my best friend. And beside the words were 2 heart-shaped rainbow stickers. She looked in the mirror and studied her beautiful dark skin. Liberty, however, did not think she was beautiful. She thought she was the ugliest 15-year-old alive. She examined the tiny freckles on her cheek and gently touched her coarse curly hair. And as she studied her features, she began whispering out loud, I'm sick and tired of this dreaded feeling I have inside. I hate my thoughts, my complex thoughts. I wish I could take a knife and pluck away the part buried so deep inside me. I wish I could castrate the root of every hormone and emotion that evoked this awful feeling. Tears ran down her cheeks as she stared at herself in the mirror that was shaking in her fragile hands. Liberty, you're crazy, she said to herself as she chuckled and smiled wryly at her reflection. She took a long pause and looked at the box once more. Tucked in the left side of the box was a burgundy pocket Bible. She hesitantly reached for it. Liberty stared at the Bible with a heavy heart and a lot of uncertainty. Finally, she picked it up and began turning the pages, but immediately closed her eyes. Unknowingly, she began to pray. God, I know you love me. I know you made me special. I know I have a purpose, but why would you make me this way? Why would you put such complex emotions in me? I hate how you made me, God. I hate this thing about me. Liberty sighed and opened her wet eyes. Her young life was stitched with the fabrics of heartbreak, disillusionment, self-hatred, and fear. She was now at a stage in her life where she was discovering herself and began to feel emotions she had never felt before. Some of those emotions were deemed unconventional. Being a young Black girl from a strict conventional Christian family, Liberty was not allowed to engage in certain activities. She was expected to be the good Christian girl, the poster child for Christianity. She feared her parents and she never wanted to disappoint them. So, she tried her best to be the young girl they wanted her to be. Her eyes were now lost in the box as they were intensely fixed on the words that were written inside the cover. A lone tear ran from her right eye and rested in the crevice of her lips. She inhaled deeply. Liberty inspected each letter that made up the words. She thought about the sounds the letters made and what they meant to her. She remembered the day she played dress up with her cousin, Toby. Toby had brought his mother's high heels and pink lipstick to the basement. They smeared lipstick on and strutted around the room in the heels. She reminisced about how young and innocent their 8-year-old selves were. Another tear ran down her cheek, but this time it didn't touch her lips. She blinked twice and the words on the cover of the box became clear. Suicide Kit. So that is the very first chapter of the book. And there is a subchapter that follows that one, but I'm not going to share that section with you guys. I'm just going to share that very first chapter that I just read. And so Liberty is this 15-year-old young girl, as I mentioned, who is on the cusp of puberty and self-discovery, and she began struggling with her identity. And as the chapter 1 mentioned, she's raised in a strict conventional Christian home where she finds it very hard to communicate with her parents, and so she began to struggle so much with her identity herself that she found hope in a gift that she got from her grandmother. And so she questioned God, and she questioned herself as a 15-year-old. And so one of the biggest question that I about the book as well is who will be Liberty's savior, and will she reveal what is this thing that she's struggling with? So I'm excited to share that chapter with you guys, and I'm going to, go into the very first question about the chapter that I just read. So if you know the answer, I don't want you guys to put the answer in the comment section. I want you guys to send the answer to my email address. And so my email address, it's for those of you who are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you can see the link at the very bottom of my screen. And my email address is thelampshadewriter@gmail.com. That is thelampshadewriter@gmail.com. And for those of you who are on Instagram, my email address, again, it's thelampshadewriter@gmail.com. So please send your answers to my email. Do not put the answer in the comment section. Send the answer to my email along with your name, and you will get an opportunity to win a signed copy of my book, From Suicide Kit to Liberating Liberty. And the first question I am going to ask is, name one item that was in Liberty's shoebox. Name one item that was in Liberty's shoebox. So I mentioned an item that she took from her shoebox. So name, and then there's other items as well. So name one item that she took from that was in Liberty's shoebox. I also want to remind you guys that you can purchase the book. For those of you who are in Canada, you can purchase the book from my website. The ebook is ready. The hard copy is ready as well. So you can get the book to purchase there. And for those of you who are living in the States or anywhere else in the world, you can find the book on blurb.com. The shipping price from Blurb will be much more reasonably in terms of shipping. And for those of you who are in Canada, it's my website, www.thelampshadewriter.com. I just want to also let you guys know, if you have any comments or if you have any questions regarding the book, regarding my journey writing this book, regarding the process, regarding why I wrote the story, you can just drop your comments in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. The lampshade, yep, someone on Instagram, they Architect Ashlyn, yes, she put the email address, thelampshadewriter@gmail.com. That's correct. Perfect. So if you know the answer for the very first question, name one item that was in Liberty's shoebox. You can send it to my email address. Do not put the answer in the comment section. Send it to my email address. And you will win a signed copy of my book. The cost of the book, for the hard copy, it's $18.39 plus shipping. So with the shipping, it's going to be $21.99, and for the ebook, it's $9.99, and there's no shipping, there's no tax that goes with the ebook itself. There's no tax on the the hard copy either. So you can find the hard copy on my website, www.thelampshadewriter.com. And you can, for those of you who are living elsewhere, you can find the book on blurb.com, right? So it's ready, and I'm excited to share my work with you guys, to share the story about Liberty and the struggle that she goes through as a 15-year-old girl. And someone on Instagram is asking, Lauren is asking, what was your process for writing this book? The process was very long, and it took me 4 years actually to write this book. It's a very short story. It's not a long story. Like, it took me 4 years, and you would have imagined that I would have written like a 400 page book, but within 4 years. But it's a very short story. It's a very powerful story. It's a story that speaks to a certain type of stigma that society looks at. And sometimes we think that young people do not have personal struggles or struggle with things that adults also struggle with. And so, like, I gave voice to this character, Liberty, just so we can also understand from a youth perspective, what are some things that they go through? What are some really heart-wrenching questions that they ask? And I'm just like really excited that, I really put pen to paper, and just to make sure that, this story, speaks truth in some sense and innocence in some sense, coming from a young girl's perspective. There is another question on Facebook. Oh, okay. I'm just getting congratulations from individuals on Facebook. I'm really excited. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And there is another question that's coming in, and someone is asking, how did you come up with the cover design? Well, when I thought of the cover, when I thought about Liberty and what this young girl looked like, I thought of someone who looked innocent. I wanted to write from also a young girl from an African American, Black perspective. And so I thought of this young girl in my head, and I told my friend Kenique, who designed the cover, what I was looking for. And so she did a bunch of mock-ups and she sent them to me, and I was back and forth with the cover design. And then she sent me this young a picture of this young girl, and I was very intrigued. And then she added the colors to it, and I was like, yes, that is Liberty. That is the young girl that I envisioned for the book. And so she really did a good job by designing it, and adding the colors, giving it that really nice contrast, which I really enjoy and I really had a good time with. So when I saw it for the very first time, I was very excited, like tears came to my eyes. I have another question from my friend Marcia, and she's asking, what would you say to someone who wants to write or struggling to write their story? My advice would be just write the story. Don't think about it. Don't second guess yourself. Don't think that what you have to say is not relevant, because that was my initial thought when I started writing the story. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna like the story. It's not gonna be relevant. Like, it's old news. People see teenagers struggling with these things and they brush it aside, and it's something that's looked over oftentimes. And so I just wanna ensure that I write. So my advice to you would be just write your story. Get an editor, get someone to look over your story, take feedbacks from your writing, and just do it. Don't second guess yourself. Don't hold back. Write, because trust me, there is a message in whatever you're writing, and someone can benefit from it. And I'm sure family members, parents, youth, young girls, young boys, by reading this book, they can benefit from it as well. It's information, something that you can learn, something to inspire as well. So I say, go ahead and write. I'm just checking to see if there's any more comments, any more questions. I'm seeing another question. What age group does your book target to? Interesting question. Thank you for asking that question. I really appreciate that. I don't think I mentioned it when I first started. So my book, From Suicide Kit to Liberating Liberty, is catered our target to youths, to young girls, young boys. Even though it's a story about a young girl, it's important for young boys to read it as well. And it's like, more importantly, I believe that my book is catered to parents as well. Like, I think parents should grab a copy of the book and read it. As I mentioned, it's the story. It's very unconventional. So I think that reading the book would give you some perspective on struggles that teenagers go through, right? While I didn't talk about every struggle that teenagers go through, but what Liberty is going through is something that we should look into. And I encourage parents, I encourage adults, youths, young boys, young girls to purchase this book. It's catered to both parents and youths as well. I have another question to ask in regards to the story itself, from chapter 1 that I read earlier. What was written on the back of the mirror when Liberty picked it up? What was written on the back of the mirror? Once again, if you have the answer for the question, please send it to my email, thelampshadewriter@gmail.com. For those of you on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, the link is at the bottom of my screen. So you can send it to, so my email is at the bottom of the screen, sorry. Send your answer to my email address. And I'm seeing another question from on Instagram. Someone is asking, oh, John, my friend is asking, do you have any tips on receiving feedback? Have you ever had a situation where you had to deal with negative feedback rather than positive feedback while you were in the process of writing? Oh, most definitely. And I mentioned it in my acknowledgement. My friends who edited my book, they called me out on my grammar mistakes. They called me out on my sentence structuring. They called me out on a lot of stuff. They color code my stuff, and they ripped it apart. And I didn't take those critique negatively. Like, I really looked into it just to make sure that I really do a good job, right? Because my work is for the public, right? So it's not just for my eyes only, it's for the public. And so I wanted to make sure that I listened to what the feedback they were giving me. And I wanted to ensure that I like really put it to practice in terms of making sure that my work is good. So I have another question for you guys. So remember, by answering the questions, you get an opportunity to win a signed copy of From Suicide Kit to Liberating Liberty. And my next question is, and remember, it's coming from the very first chapter that I read just not too long ago. The question is, list 5 struggles teenagers goes through. List 5 struggles teenagers go through. So if you know, there's a lot of struggles that teenagers go through, like a whole bunch, right? It's not just 5, but just list 5 struggles that you know or think that teenagers go through, and send them to my email. Send them to my email. And the email again is thelampshadewriter@gmail.com. And I'm seeing another question on Instagram. Would this be a good literature for high school curriculum? Most definitely. Most definitely. Seeing where our I guess like our society is leading to right now, youths in particular, they're having a voice now. I think this book would speak to a lot of youths in high school. And again, Liberty is a 15-year-old girl, and her struggle is nothing new to what any teenager go through. So I strongly believe that this would be a good curriculum for a good book for school curriculum here in North America and anywhere else in the English-speaking world. I don't yet have my book in other languages, but I strongly believe that this would be a good book for teenagers especially who are having similar struggles as Liberty. It would be a good teaching tool for teachers as well, and for parents, as I mentioned earlier. I have another question. How do you feel knowing lots of people will be reading your work? Do you feel nervous? No, nervous or excited? I am very excited. Well, I'm very excited, but at the same time, very nervous as well, because I've never published my work in this format before. I am very nervous and I'm very excited. I'm excited that I'm sharing the story itself, and I'm excited that others will be able to read the story. I'm excited for teenagers who will be reading this book, who have similar struggles like Liberty, and that they would be able to really find some sense of belonging, some sense of, in a sense, closure. They will find some sense of self when they do read this book. So yes, I'm excited, but very nervous as well. Nervous too, because I'm not sure what the feedback is going to be from individuals. So I'm preparing myself for that when I start getting reviews and getting feedback. And please, if you do purchase the book, or when you purchase the book, don't be afraid to leave reviews, feedback. I want to know what you feel about the book or what you think about the book. Like, let me know. I want to get your feedback. And the more feedback, the better it is, because the more people see reviews from other individuals, more likely they'll purchase the book, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm just checking to see if there are any other questions that I missed on Instagram. So, okay, there was another question. What do you think the best way to help reduce stigmas that young people face? That's a very important question. I like that question. Like, that's a really, really good question. What do you think the best way to help reduce stigmas that young people face? One of the best way to reduce stigmas that young people face is to listen to them. Listen to what they're saying to you. Have an open mind. Try to learn about what is it that they're going through. How is it that they can overcome these struggles? And I believe that I believe that I believe that, you know, listening to your child, listening to a teenager, this will enable you to understand further and deeper what is it that they really face on a daily basis. And again, this book, it's like, I'm telling you, like, I think you should buy this book just to get an understanding of this particular struggle that this young girl go through. So I'm encouraging you guys, purchase the book, purchase the book, purchase the book. It will really help open your mind, open up your understanding about social stigmas and how we deal with social stigmas. Because oftentimes we look at situations that individuals face on a daily basis, and we think, oh, something is wrong with them, or they need help in some way, some form or shape that it's not necessarily good for them. So I think reading this book will definitely help open up your understanding of what is it that these young people, what is it that individuals like Liberty face on a daily basis? Great question. Thank you very much for sharing that. Another question comes in. Someone asked, and this question came into my email. This person said that they were unable to attend my virtual launch, and so they sent a question and they asked, "What is your favorite chapter in the book?" Interestingly, the entire book is my favorite. The entire book is my favorite, but in particularly, there's one chapter. Give me 1 second. There is it's not necessarily a chapter, but in the book, Liberty wrote a letter to her parents, and the letter to her parents was very I wrote the book. I wrote it from a young girl's perspective, but it was heart-wrenching. The questions that she asked her parents in the letter that she wrote, the way she expresses herself in the letter, like that was like whenever I reread that particular the letter that she wrote, like it just bring tears to my eyes, because it just goes to speak to like questions that teenagers may have to ask, right? And sometimes they're afraid to ask those questions because parents, I'm not a parent, but parents sometimes look at their kids and they're like, oh, you're not allowed to ask certain things. You're not allowed to, to behave certain way. You're not allowed to, give a comment or, or react to certain things. So it was that letter that she wrote to her parents was very just very interested. And I mean, it, like, for example, like for myself, when I was younger, I had questions, that I would want to ask my parents, and certain things that certain, I guess, beliefs that they would have, or certain comments that they would make about certain things, and I would be afraid to ask those questions, right? But here in this book, I gave voice to Liberty, and she did ask those questions, and I hope when parents, especially, read this book, that some of those questions that she's asking, that you will take the time out to really think about these questions, and not just think about it from the perspective that Liberty is asking the question from, right? But think about it from the perspective that, based on whatever struggle a teenager is going through, these questions that Liberty asks, in some sense, could relate or framed differently, in terms of how she asked a question, and therefore, as adults, you have to look into yourself and be able to open up your mind and open up yourself to really answering these questions that teenagers have, because trust me, they do have questions to ask, especially if they're struggling with something internally, mentally, emotionally, even physically as well, right? So I'm excited, when you guys purchase this book, that you will, read these chapters, and really, like, think about them when you read the chapters. Don't just skip through the page, like, just to finish the book, but really think about it, because I would say it's in depth. And I have one more question to ask. So one last question. And remember that the questions, if you answer the questions correctly, you have a chance to win a signed copy of the book. So this is the very last question I'm asking in regards to the first chapter that I read. And the question goes like this: where did Liberty emerge from with the shoebox? Where did Liberty emerge from with the shoebox? So that was within the very first sentence that I read, from the first chapter. Where did Liberty emerged from with the shoebox? And I'm excited to see the answers that I will be getting, and so that you guys can have a chance to win a signed copy. I see lots of congratulations coming from Facebook, YouTube, lots of congratulations coming from Instagram. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you being here with me this evening, and I'm very excited to share my first published book with you guys. And yeah, I'm just excited. I'm just excited. And someone's asking a question. Jam Britcan, will you be writing another book? Most definitely, I'll be writing another book. Well, I have two other books in the making. I haven't set a published date for them as yet. One is a similar story to Liberty's. Again, teen. I love coming of age. I love writing coming of age stories, and it's a teen fiction. So I'm writing another book, which is a teen fiction coming of age, similar to Liberty's story. So that one, I haven't set a published date as yet, but the story is, I'm doing some finishing touches here and there before I send it off to my editor. And my other book will be a self-help book, and it's a story that's very personal to me, and so I want to share that story on my journey of like coming to terms with some of my own personal struggles, and how what I did in the process. So I want to share what I did in the process, share the exercises that I did in the process, so that you guys can also, if you guys have similar issues or going through something and need some guidance, you guys can get it. So I have two other books in the making, and I am excited to share those, but they're not ready as yet. But once they are, I will let you guys know. I see more people joining on Instagram, people joining on Facebook, YouTube. Thank you guys. I am so excited. I am just elated right now to have you guys here with me this evening. This means everything. You guys maybe wondering why I'm looking here and why I'm looking over there. So Instagram is right here, and Facebook, YouTube, you're right in front of me. So I'm back and forth with the camera. Um, Another question came in an email, and the person asked, "Why have you ever worked with youths, and why do you know why do you write this story about a teenage girl?" Yes, I have worked with youths before. I was a teacher's aide. I was a youth leader at my church. I'm very active with the youths. Go to different conferences with them. Um, I tutor youths as well. I tutor grade 10, grade 11 math. I with science. I help with science, English, all that stuff. And so I do have a lot of, I would say, run-ins with youth, and getting feedback from them, listening to their stories, understanding some of their, the struggles that they face on a daily basis, listening to them. There's sometimes I get, like comments, or I get feedback. Youth will tell me things that they haven't even shared with their parents, they haven't shared with their family members. And so I do have experiences working with youths. I do, just have that capacity to listen and to have an open mind. I find that one of the best thing is just to not give your advice sometimes, but just to listen to what they have to say, and really take in what they're saying, and really help them to understand that, while they may be going through struggles, while they may be, having different issues, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So we all go through struggles, and that's something I always share with them. Like, we all have struggles, but it's how we deal with them, right? And not to let them, take over our emotions and stuff like that. I see another question that comes in. Um, Oh, from my friend Lisette. I'm definitely going to purchase, but also need my copy signed. Okay, Lisette, I hear you. Most definitely. There's another question. Do you plan to continue writing more books after having gone through writing this one? Oh, yes, most definitely. I will definitely be writing more books. And there's another question that's here. Are you planning to write any more books in the future? Well, yeah, similar question. Yes, I will be writing more books in the future. This is the beginning, guys. This is the beginning. I have lots of stories inside my head. So lots to share. And I just want to say quickly, like, finding your purpose is a very important thing. And I believe, and I know this for a fact, that this is writing is my purpose. I remember when I was a little kid, my mom, she prophesied over me, and she said to me, I remember when as a child, she said to me, one day you're going to write many books. And as a kid, you never really believe. You're like, yeah, whatever. But now, the process that I've gone through writing this book, the process that I've gone through writing the other books that I've written, which have not yet been published, um, it's something that I know that I'll continue doing. I'm not seeing this one. How do I purchase one? How do I purchase one of your books? So for those of you who are in Canada, you can purchase the book from my website. And if you're looking for a physical copy signed, um, you can purchase it from my website, and that is www.thelampshadewriter.com. For those of you who are living in the States, you can purchase the book on blurb.com. So for those of you who are in United States or any other part of the world, you can go to blurb.com. It's at for those of you on Facebook, it's at the bottom of my screen. So it's blurb.com. So it's blurb.com for if you're living in the States, or anywhere else. If you're in Canada, you can get a physical copy purchased from my website. And I just want to put out this disclaimer. There is because due to COVID-19, the shipping may take a little bit longer. So it may take you a while to get the book. But once you purchase it, then I'll send it off to you and you'll get your signed copy. So if you purchase a book from my website, you'll get a signed copy from me. And for those of you who answer the questions that I asked earlier, you'll be getting your free copy signed as well. So you'll get my autograph, guys. There is another question that's here, and it's on Instagram. Where do you get your inspiration from? So my inspiration comes from my own personal experiences. It also comes from people who have interacted with as well. As I said, I love writing coming of age stories. So I get inspiration from the youths that I speak with on a daily basis. And I get inspiration from just like being out in the community, being out, interacting with people, hearing people's story, thinking of ways how I can turn that into a story on its own with a different twist to it. So those are the places I get my inspiration from. Just interacting with people. As I said, I love working with youths. It's just something that I really enjoy doing. And so they inspire my work. And this book in particularly, it's inspired by a 13-year-old girl that I met at a youth conference that I went to. And by having a conversation with her, I realized that, oh my God, like youths today, and I'm sure back in the days too, they go through some really tough stuff that they don't really tell adults sometimes. And that's why I wrote this book, just to shed light on a particular struggle that youths go through, something, based on their situation. I have another question here. If we purchase the book from your website, where can we leave a review? Oh, there is a review section on my website as well. So you can leave a review on my website. So again, my website is www.thelampshadewriter.com. And so once you purchase the book there, once you read the book, you can go directly to my website, and there's a review section there. You can leave a review, and I'm open to all reviews, negative, positives. I want to hear it all because I want to be a better writer. I want to be an inspiration for others. So let me know how you feel. Let me know what you think about the book itself. There's another question here. If we are in the US, can we order from your website too, or do we have to order from Blurb? Most definitely, you can order from my website as well. If you're living in the States, the shipping may be a little bit more, but you could order from my website. And I want you guys to visit my website, subscribe to my website, because every month I publish my poetry there. I publish some short stories on my website. I have a blog, so I do publish short stories on my website as well. So if you can definitely purchase from my website. There is another question. I'm not seeing this one very well. Where do you get, oh, the inspiration? Yeah, I answered that question already. I answered that one already. Yeah, where do I get my inspiration from? Um, so thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. I'm just excited. I'm excited that you guys were able to join me and to be a part of my book launch. Um, what's next after this? Some of you may be asking. So what's next after this is that in the next couple of weeks from now, I'll be doing another live session on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, where I will be answering questions. So by then, people have started purchasing. I've seen that people have started purchasing already from the ebook, especially, and so I'm gonna be live here answering questions that you guys might have after reading the book, and just to give you insights and just to answer questions that you guys have in terms of, like, I guess, follow-up questions pertaining to some of what you guys have asked this evening. So I'm just very excited that I am able to share all of this with you. So I am seen on Instagram. So my book launch was only scheduled for an hour. So I started at 6:30, and I am ending in 4 minutes. So Instagram, I know Instagram is only for an hour. Instagram Live is only for an hour. So once the hour is here, I'll be kicked out of Instagram. Um, but I'm seeing on my other platform that I'm using that I have 10 extra minutes, that they gave me 10 extra minutes on my time. So I might be here to stick around if you guys have any further question with those 10 extra minutes, but it's only for those of you who are on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. But I know that Instagram is going to kick me out in an hour. Sorry, in the next like 3 minutes from now. So I'm really excited to have shared this book with you guys. Remember that you can find the book on my website, www.thelampshadewriter.com. If you have questions, follow-up questions, you can send it to you can DM me on Instagram. You can send me a message on my Facebook page, The Lampshade Writer. You can send me an email, thelampshadewriter@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. And remember, you can get the book to purchase on my website again. It's $18.39 for the hard copy and $9.99 for the ebook. There's no tax associated with the purchase of either forms, ebook or the hard copy. So thank you guys once again. I'm very happy that you guys joined me this evening, and that I was able to share my work with you guys. And I'm just ready for the feedback that you guys are going to give once you read the book. So I'll be checking the answers for the questions that you sent in. And so yes, thanks again. Someone said the world needs to hear your voice. So excited your work is getting out there. Thank you so much, Lauren. I appreciate that. That's my friend from from Scotland. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm so excited. Thank you. And I just got my live on Instagram has just ended. I still have a few minutes here on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. So Thank you guys for joining again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So remember the title of my book, From Suicide Kit to Liberating Liberty. You can find this book on my website. You can find this book on my website. You can find it on blurb.com, but I highly recommend go to my website and subscribe to my website so that you can get to see more of my other published works. They're not book form, but my poetry, my other commentary as well. You can find them there. And thank you for joining me this evening. And I'm happy that you guys were able to be here with me. There's another question. Will you have a sequel to your book or a different topic? Interestingly, I didn't thought about that one. So I think that is something that I'll be looking into if I'm going to have a sequel to this book. I like that question. I really like that question. It's a thinking question. So I'll think about that one. And chances are I may have a sequel because I think you would want to know, after getting to the very end of the book, you would want to know what happened next, right? So interesting. So that's something that I'll think about this question in terms of writing a sequel to the book itself. So my time is up, guys, and I'm gonna be kicked out like in a minute or so. So thank you once again. Remember, From Suicide Kit to Liberating Liberty, get your copy, read it, leave a review for me. I'm very excited that you guys are able to join me this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Purchase your copy, purchase for a youth, purchase for a family member. Wherever you are, whoever you are, purchase a copy. It's my very first published book, From Suicide Kit to Liberating Liberty. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you being here with me this evening. Okay, peace out.